So what I want to talk about in this video is games and how we play games in relationships. I'm a single guy for now, and I go out a lot and I meet all these kind of different people, different women, and every now and then I'll meet a girl, I'll meet someone who is kind of playing games. So, in this dating scene, there's a thing concept of, do you have game, right? So you approach a girl and then you say this and she says this, and then like this whole thing is almost like a play. A person could just roll back and just enjoy watching it. And what I've learned is that games really lead to a lot of wasted time. Okay. Now, in dating, games are a way of showing who's dominant and who's domineering, and who's over someone else and who's below someone else and who has the power, who doesn't have the power, and basically a lot of bullshit. What I found is that when you need to play games with people to either keep them in or attract them to yourself, you're playing a losing game, because no matter what you do, even if you quote unquote win with the guy, with the person, with the woman, with the girl, right? And you get to attract them, you get to have them show interest for you, you really are attracting the wrong kind of person for yourself. Because the right people, you really don't need to play games with them. The right people for you, you kind of hook up instantly, or there's a match, there's an instant like connection, or at least there's a connection that's built up pretty quickly. And when you play games, and here's a big epiphany that I've learned. When you play games, it's almost as if you put on a wall in front of you that prevents the other person to see you. And when they can't see you, then they can't get to know you, they can't connect with you, and you lose a person that may otherwise be a good fit for you. But because you played games, you were playing hide and seek, you were playing psychological games, you were playing games of, oh, I'm cool, I don't care about you. When you do that, you're losing time. People get a weird vibe from you, and you tend to repel the right people from you, and you tend to attract people who are also into games, who are also into the psychological BS. So what I found for myself is that if I go out and I show myself, I open myself up, I am vulnerable, and if I see a girl and I walk up to her and say, hey, I thought you were really beautiful, I wanted to say hi. And if she turns me down because I wasn't playing the game, I wasn't cool enough for her or whatever, she was the wrong person for me. And what I found is that a lot of people, a lot of guys, they feel the need to protect themselves from rejection and failure. And that you're going to get this, when you start opening yourself up and you walk through the world opened and vulnerable, you're going to have people say no to you. And a lot of people have a problem with that. So our ego is preventing us from just being ourselves, because we're like, we can't stand hearing no from someone. Like, who do they think they are? I'm better than them, they're not better than me, and I'm embarrassed, I'm rejected, whatever. It pushes our insecurity buttons. So the saying when our mom told us and says, like, oh, how can I get a girl? And she just said, son, girl, whatever, daughter, just be yourself. It's such a simple concept, very, very hard to do, because we're wired with movies, with magazines, with now internet. We're wired and programmed to act, like put up a front and play games with people and play, act more confident than we are, act cooler than we are. Like all these kind of weird things that stop us from just being ourselves, because very simply we don't feel like we're good enough. A lot of times we want to show an image of ourselves that is much, much better than we think we are. So we don't feel really confident, or we don't feel like we're good enough. So we try to overcompensate, and we try to put up an image of us that's more confident than we really are. And like I'm Steven Seagal all of a sudden, or I'm Brad Pitt from a movie or whatever. I just like I'm standing in a club, and I'm looking like this, I'm scanning the room like this, I'm so cool. I came from a movie. You've seen these guys, maybe you've acted like that yourself. Again, when you do that, you're going to repel the right people, and you're going to attract the wrong people. Then people say, I constantly have dysfunctional relationships. You have, of course, because you have this wall in front of you. Now, having said that, I also want to say this. You also need to protect yourself, meaning, first of all, if someone says no to you, it's not the end of the world, and learn to take it as I have to say it, as a man. But if you're a woman, take it as a person. Take it as a woman. Somebody says no, that's okay, cool, move on. Don't make it about you too much. Say, hey, this person said no to me. That's okay. I'm not into games. And second of all is protect yourself in terms of, don't just walk up to every person that you think is cute or something. Just have a bit of an eye for the kind of people you're surrounding yourself with, the kind of people you're approaching, the kind of people. Do they look nice? Do they look like someone you would want to spend time with? Do they look like someone you would want to date? I don't know. You kind of have to use your intuition a little bit, because if you are attracted to mean people, then you're going to get shut down, and it's going to damage your self-esteem. So be open. Don't play games. Walk up to people, introduce yourself. Just let go of games. And finally, I just want to say this. People who are lazy to do the work on themselves are usually the ones that need to play psychological games to have people attracted to them and have people stay with them. It's much easier. I promise, in the long run, it's much easier to work on yourself. Watch videos like these. Read books. A very good book. Here's a free resource. Very good book. It's going to change your life. 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, Nathaniel Branden. Get the book. Also, Honoring Yourself, Nathaniel Branden. Get all of his work on self-esteem. Watch it. Listen to the audio programs. Read books. Work on yourself. Work so you don't have so many different insecurities, complexes, enroll into coaching programs, invest in yourself, work on yourself, your relationships will improve. I've learned that investments in myself and improving my relationships have had the greatest ROI in my life, from being able to get along with my parents, with my relatives, with my friends more, being able to expand my circle of, just my social circle was just, I just cannot describe how valuable that was for me. My career changed. Everything changed for me. My financial situation, everything changed when I changed myself, when I changed my relationships. So don't play games. Drop the walls. Okay, show yourself. Be vulnerable. Work on yourself. And, the right people will show up. They will stay. You don't need to chase anyone.